Vale. Vale, pues con este no tengo nada más que hablar. Ahora tengo que hablar con la doctora esta. Voy a guardar.
Haven't you anything better to do than bother me?
Hang on a sec. The steward himself sent me here to give you a hand.
Wonderful. I've been after him for months to get me some help, and he sends me an armed ape. Practice medicine, I presume? Your tools seem rather barbaric.
Me apañó bastante bien con mis útiles. Podía acabar siendo útil, quién sabe. Sé preparar porciones. No quiero pasarme la noche con esto. ¿Queréis ayuda o no? Vale.
The tools are fine. That's not to say I don't get a little barbaric sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Believe me, I've already used them to do a little surgery on a few evil tongues, and nobody ever complained once.
The tongue of a freeborn blade, in any case, is just as sharp as any dagger.
So be it. If you're as gifted as that, I guess I have nothing to lose. In fact, there is something that you could doubtless do for me. I'm worried about my assistant Haymond. I haven't seen him for a while now, and I fear he might have gone into the swamps to look for the plants I need. We're forced to venture further and further in to find the plants we need. With all that's been going on lately, I forbade him from going back out alone, but the boy is nothing if not stubborn.
Stubborn? Yeah, I hate people like that.
Please find him. He's a good boy. He's done nothing but help others since he arrived. Without him, the House of Healing would be a house of death.
If I'm gonna be slogging through the swamps anyway, might as well take a look around and try to bring back the plants you need too, right? You got any drawings or descriptions?
Yes, that's a good idea. I would be grateful to you. But above all, try to bring back my assistant Haymond in one piece. Here's your priority. For the rest, basically, I need food, medicinal herbs, and of course, I wouldn't say no to a few pre-prepared potions. All of our stock seems to disappear so quickly. I'll give you the parchment that I made for Haymond to help you recognize the specimens I need. He knows them by heart now, after so many trips.
Right. Plants, potions, chow, and one assistant. If I come across any elven tea, would you like a cup of that too?
That would be lovely.
Vale. Hablemos de los problemas de vuestro dispensario. Querría informar sobre Valvenur. Quería información sobre Valvenur. Habéis oído hablar de una bestia que viene al pantano, vale.
Let's talk about your healing house. I found you a few health potions.
No me jodas, se las tengo que dar. O sea, a mí me hacen bastante falta. Venga.
Here, I hope these will help cover your needs for a little while.
They will prove very useful, I promise you. And thank you.
Where could I find some food for you?
Sadly, there isn't much choice. You have to go look for it in the swamps, unless you want to bargain for it with the steward. Perhaps he will be more generous with a mercenary than with a simple apothecary.
Vale.
Where could I find some food for you?
Sadly, there isn't much choice. You have to go look for it. Perhaps he will be more generous with a mercenary than with a simple...
I'm still looking for your assistant.
Here? I seriously doubt that he's still here in the village. Please, I know that it's dangerous, but you'll have much better luck looking for him in the swamplands. Come back and see me when you've any news.
I'd like some information about the village and its inhabitants. So what do you think of this steward?
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Too late if you ask me.
If I were you, I'd be wary of him. He is not as honorable as he would have you believe. Know that before the war, he was just a lackey, bowing and scraping before all the people of power that passed by. Due to a superior's mistake, he thinks he's in charge now. He's a latecomer, nothing but an opportunist, ready to do anything to keep his little piece of power. I've had the misfortune of experiencing his sense of priorities. When he no longer has a use for you, he lets you know you're not welcome.
El intendente no se los arregla mal, no es más que un jefecillo pomposo y pretencioso.
I can't say I disagree with you there. This asshole treats everybody like his personal slaves.
For the moment, he treats you well because you serve his needs. This might not always be true, and then your lives will be threatened.
He'd go that far?
I didn't found the House of Healing alone. It was with my husband, Ron. He was not a great warrior, nor a renowned strategist. His only gift was for healing. He was my teacher before becoming my husband. The steward welcomed us with open arms. We took care of his men, his villagers. Then the refugees started arriving in greater numbers. Too many for Chambriad, who ended up closing the gates and pretending that these people simply didn't exist. Ron was furious. He tried to make him understand that he would heal everyone, no matter what. And if the self-proclaimed leader of the village wasn't capable of taking care of anyone other than himself, that he would do it. A few days later, I came back from the swamps to discover Ron in agony in the healing house. He had been poisoned.
You think this was the work of the steward?
Who else would have reason to kill him? Everyone loved him and counted on him. Chambriad thought that without him the healing house would close and that the number of refugees would diminish naturally. Unfortunately for him, I will continue my husband's good work even unto my dying breath. He gave me an even greater reason to keep going.
This healing house is a waste of time and resources. These people are but dead weight.
Who are these refugees you're helping?
They are the outcasts of the war. Those who didn't have the privilege of dying in combat, or who lack knowledge of the arts of the forge. No one wants them. If I don't help them, nobody will.
Estáis perdiendo el tiempo y malgastando recursos, tenéis razón, todos tenemos que ayudarnos.
You're doing the right thing. Taking care of them is good for everybody's morale. The ones who do the fighting want to know they aren't doing it for nothing, and that their people won't be abandoned while they're gone.
That is far from the only reason. But I'm very happy to hear you say it.
What did you do before the war?
Before the war? Please don't tell me you're naive enough to believe that this war only started 10 years ago.
That's what everybody says.
I come from Shorelin, a faraway land in the north that the Ice Lords probably wiped off the map some time ago. Because no one is left to write the history books, other than a fanatical cult more interested in arcane magic than in human science or medicine. The fact remains that the war is far more ancient than that. For as long as I can remember, I have always known war. I was only just learning to walk when Marshal Winters invaded my homeland.
I have heard of this Ice Lord. Winters the Bloodthirsty.
I wandered along the main roads for years, always heading further south, staying just ahead of the advancing Deadwalkers. First with my sister and a family of neighbors. Then just with my sister. Then all alone. Until the day I met the man who would become my husband. A remarkable elf, who taught me how to heal, and how to love, and help those near me. But after years of fleeing, and ending up here in this isolated village so in need of healers, we decided to put down roots. Roan died 8 months ago, leaving me alone and in charge of the House of Healing that we had built together.
I'm looking for a blacksmith. Do you know where I can find one in the village?
You could go and ask Esael for what you need. He's an elf who lives nearby. He's a rather odious character, but there isn't any alternative really, unless... While speaking with the refugees, I learned that one of them used to be a blacksmith, but he arrived here with nothing other than a dying cow. His name is Renko, I believe.
Creo que
I don't
sé
know
cuál
if he's
es.
skilled, and without a forge he may not be much help. But he is certainly much more pleasant than that horrible elf.
Vale, esa información es interesante. Vale.
Have you heard any rumors about a beast wandering around in the marshes?
They are not rumors. There is something in these marshes, and I have a patient in a coma that confirms it.
Something? What does that mean? Where can I find it?
I don't know exactly what it is. The wounds don't resemble anything seen around here before. What you seek is large, powerful, and obviously has enormous claws at its disposal. The wounded man was found west of the swamps, crawling towards the village. If you really wish to fall upon that beast, that would be a good place to start. But bear in mind the possibility that it may be the beast which falls upon you.
Al oeste del pantano, ha dicho. Vale.
I'd like to see what you have to sell.
Componentes, sangre corrupta. Para eso es para hacer pociones. Joder, pues tiene 83. Con eso podría hacer ya pociones. En vez de venderlo. Las gemas estas para que son para las piezas preciosas refuerzan las propiedades mágicas. Vale, para poner las armaduras y eso. Y armas y eso no vende, no me interesa. Vale. Vale. Pues se me ha dado 3 misiones. Una creo que la he completado, que es darle las pócimas. Vale, mira el mapa. Vale. Bueno, pues voy a hacer una cosa. Voy a hablar con el herrero este. Bueno, no. Tengo eso, que ir a hablar con el intendente este al ayuntamiento. Y también con el herrero, pero también quiero hablar con el refugiado ese que me ha dicho que es herrero, que está ahí al lado. Y creo que en el búfalo este también tengo que hablar, imagino, para lo de Rambal, para que le admitan en los espadas libres. Vale, pues voy a hacer una cosa, voy a guardar. Vale. La misión principal de todas formas no es iguales. Capítulo 1. El servicio de los escribas rojos. Vale. Encontrar la guardia de la bestia del pantano. Esa es la principal. Sí, vale, es misión principal, sí. Y estas son las secundarias que tengo.
Hello there, Powder Man. You still didn't manage to blow yourself up?
Este pueblo es muy tranquilo, ¿verdad? Tengo unas cuantas preguntas.
I have a few questions for you.
Vale, este no me dice nada. Pues nada, con este tío no tengo que hablar para eso. Para lo de Randall, el asuntillo de Randall. Tengo que hablar con el capitán, pero no sé dónde está. Quería preguntarte una cosa. Queremos mejorar el material de los guardias.
I wanted to ask you. You ever hear about a beast that lives just outside the village?
Everybody's talking about it, so yeah, I've heard things. But there are animals everywhere out here. You can hear them howling and snarling all over the place during the night. But I do believe there is something bigger and meaner than the others. As far as what it is, though.
Vale.
Seeing as how you're pretty resourceful, I figure you know everybody here. Is there a smith somewhere around?
Yes, there is one. Me.
I should have guessed. Another con?
Not at all. Listen, I understand you might think I'm some kind of charlatan. But before being an outcast starving in the worst hole in the swamp, I was a blacksmith. The problem is that I don't have any forge or equipment. Otherwise, believe me, I wouldn't be out here begging just to survive.
Why not use the village forge?
I tried that, but that idiot, the so-called artist that works there, almost took my head off and started throwing everything that wasn't nailed down at me. No, what I really need to work right is my equipment. My forge cart.
And where is your cart?
At the other end of the swamp, unfortunately. Here, look. I'll show you on your map.
I'll get it back for you. You'll help me fix up the guard's equipment. Agreed?
Agreed. On one condition, of course. That you also get me some supplies. Let's see. There aren't that many guards, so about 10 pieces of raw metal, 10 good leather hides, and 10 pieces of refined metal should do the trick.
Well, I hope with all that, our guards will be well equipped.
Joder, menudo mercenario de mierda es este que no hace más que perder materiales, medicinas, cosas. En vez de que le paguen, se está regalando todo. Vale.
Greetings, mercenary.
I wanted to ask you.
No creo que me diga nada. No, no dice nada, no.
Right, I'm leaving.
Bueno, pues lo de mejorar el material de los guardias ya sé cómo tengo que hacerlo. Y bueno, antes de salir al pantano a hacer las misiones estas, tengo que hacer algo más en el ayuntamiento. Imagino que es lo de hablar con el intendente. Y de paso cogeré a Sibyl ahí, que tengo una misión secundaria que es enseñarle la fauna del pantano, así que aunque me gusta más ir con el tipo este, le diré a la otra que me acompañe para eso, para que además todavía no la he llevado. Creo que hace magia curativa y me puede venir bien, de hecho. Si me cura durante el combate y eso. ¿Esto qué mierda es? Ah, alimentos. Ah, que los estoy robando.
Mr. Vulcan, what brings you here?
Let's talk about work. We'll talk again later.
Me ha dicho eso, que hablé con el intendente este. Yo pensaba que tenía que hablar con él, pero no, le estoy robando. Bueno.
I am busy, mercenary. Go.
Todo sea por el bien de los desvalidos y desfavorecidos. Por aquí no había nada más. Ahí he cogido el cofre ese antes. Si hubiese comida me lo marcaría. Vale. Esta tía tiene que estar por aquí. Aquí.
Sybil, can I talk to you?
Yes?
I'd like to ask you a few questions.
What do you want to know?
Vale, ven conmigo
I need
y
your help. Come
te
with me.
enseño las faunas del pantano y consigo la misión secundaria. Vale, y mi colega Rembal, ¿dónde se ha quedado para luego venir a poner? Vale, está ahí. Quería hablar también con este tío, que imagino que le comentaré lo de que quiero mejorar el equipamiento de los guardias y me dirá que vale, pero que me va a costar una pasta.
Get that forge cooking. You've got work to do. I don't want to see so much as a dent in the guard's armor. And we need some weapons with edges that will actually cut something.
I don't even have enough materials to forge a single sword worthy of the name. Sorry, but if what you want were possible, it would have been done long ago. What's more, I'm not really a blacksmith. If you want an assembly line of weapons, I wouldn't count too much on me.
Sigue cuando contigo, me temo y no creo que quieras fallarme. Te das llamar artista y no eres capaz de forjar unas cuantas espadas que necesitas.
You say you're a gifted artist, and yet you're incapable of forging anything that is actually functional?
No, I didn't say that. The weapons that I create are more than functional. They have a style, a beauty, that goes far beyond their capacity to kill. I was simply clarifying that I have not undergone blacksmith training as such. Making a weapon, even a vulgar, unsophisticated one, takes time and can require several attempts.
So what is it you need?
Everything you can possibly bring me. Metal, leather, coal, preferably in large quantities. A dozen or so pieces of each would make a start, I suppose.
Este
I'll take
necesita
a
más.
look around and see what I can find. Show me what you have for sale.
Imagino eso, que si le pido a este que forje las armas y eso. No. Va a ser que le den por culo. Voy a... Prefiero que me lo forje el otro.
Greetings, mercenary.
Will you be able to help me improve the guard's equipment?
I'd love to. In fact, if I could, I'd probably... The problem is that I don't have any forge or equipment. Otherwise, believe...
Why not use the village forge?
I tried that. No.
And...
Bueno, eso es lo que ya me ha dicho
I'll get
antes.
it. Agree. Let's see.
Well,
Estoy haciendo que me dé nuevo la misión esta. Vale. Aquí hay un tesoro.
there should be enough food. We'll see what Marana says when we get back to the healing house.
Vale, y con este tengo que hablar para eso, que acepte a Renmal.
Gods, these people are amateurs. This village is about as secure as your granny's underwear. Not a single watchman at his post. It's worse than I'd imagined.
I'll deal with this, Captain.
Good. I'm counting on you. Remember, if you screw this up, we'll all be joining the ranks of the Deadwalker army as soon as their scouts find this place.
Habéis pedido ayuda a los lugareños. Quería preguntar una cosa. A lo mejor tengo a alguien nuevo para acompañar. Vale.
You wanted the Freeborn Blades to help the villagers. Is that still happening?
As long as we have to stay here, yes. Why?
The villagers told me about a beast. I have to find its lair.
Hawk talked to me about that a while ago. He said he'd found some suspicious-looking tracks that led back to the northern swamps.
I'll go and follow the tracks. Where's Hawk?
No idea. I sent him off to scout that part of the swamp, but he hasn't reported back yet.
The villagers told me about...
Hawk talk.
Vale,
I'll go.
lo mismo.
Captain, I wanted to ask... Do you really think we should be trusting these red scribes?
Vulcan, I'm not going to try and make this pretty. These are tough times. Thanks to this cursed war, our list of potential clients is shrinking faster than my dick when I jump into an ice bath. I get it, that after what happened in the temple, you'd like to send them all packing. This whole demon business is complicated. But we are mercenaries after all is said and done. We're not a charity. We're only as good as our clients. And you know, even if they did screw things up back there, they were right to try and find some way to beat the Ice Lords. What's the alternative? Lie down and wait to freeze?
Thanks to them, we all nearly bought it back at the temple. And I'm not even convinced it was an accident.
You have a point. And since we don't want to finish up as a pile of bodies under a snowdrift, we're going to keep a sharp eye on them from now on.
Do you think the company is going to make it?
Of course. The Blades have always come through. They've existed for more than 2 centuries. And they won't give up now. Not during my watch. But to tell you the truth, we're not looking too fresh. Not with the losses we took back at the temple. And as for new recruits, it's been what? A year or more since we found anyone worthwhile.
Most of us were recruited when the war began. And there aren't many of us left. The only available recruits now are either cowards, deserters, or kids.
If we're gonna hold this village, we're going to have to do it using the locals. Even though most of them look like they couldn't organize a party in a brewery. As soon as we've recovered a bit, we'll break camp and head for Carolthass. I already sent some of the Blades ahead to see if they could find any new recruits. With a bit of luck, they'll come up with something better than one-armed, no-legged trolley rollers.
Vale.
Why did we fall back to the swamp?
The Red Scribes knew of this place and said that we'd be safe here for a while. And apart from a few repulsive beasties creeping around outside the walls, it's actually quite peaceful. I don't think I'd buy a house here, though, would you? So we'll heal our wounded, try and learn what's happening to you, and then get the hell out of here.
Captain, just fought a duel with Ranvil, the guardian of the village. And before you start yelling about wasted energy, I want you to know that it was him that insisted on it. He's one hell of a fighter. He hits you like he was chopping down a tree, and he can take a blow and shake it off. He wants to join the Blades.
I have the feeling that every new recruit I take on these days is headed straight for the cemetery. But considering the losses we've suffered, I suppose I can't refuse. Bring him here to me. I'll check him out.
Vale. Pues nada, después de hacer estas misiones, le diré que me acompañe y lo traeré a donde el capitán. Vale. Vale, pues ya está, ya le... Ya está, ya le he preguntado todo. Vale, pues aquí mismo tengo para continuar y hacer una de las misiones secundarias, que es lo que haré ahora.